Hello again. This is Kim Magdalene, and this is Common Sense Parenting. And we have Denver and Glenn with us today, as we have in the past few six actually programs. We've got about five more to complete, and then we'll be through. We're working on the book, but here's where it all comes from. The slide on the screen, lifestyle parenting, is where Glenn got most of his information, except for the and these two books, Loving Solutions: A Parent's Guide to Raising Tough Kids, ages 5 to 10 years. This is basically why Glenn and Denver have decided to go online with this, because they wanted to reach kids a little bit younger. They're used to working with kids a little bit older, maybe 8 to 16 or 17 or 18 years old, and it's time to catch them earlier and see if we can head this off before it becomes much more difficult. Also, changing destructive adolescent behaviors too is an important part of the parent project. So you can purchase a book on Amazon, Tackling Life's Challenges. It's Glenn's book, and Kindle. I get mine all on Kindle. I have a couple hundred books on Kindle, and that's my choice of reading a book. That's a great place to get it. It comes in a couple of days, real simple. Just order it online. This is a picture that we've shown before. It's a parent having a very nice, kind discussion with his son, and his son is very kindly and respectfully mentioning a couple of things back to him. You probably experienced this before, and or you wouldn't be watching these programs. Okay, now this is an older kid. Can you imagine a 5-year-old doing this? I saw one, by the way, guys. I saw this happening at Costco. I saw it. I think she had to be maybe a 3-year-old. I think I saw a diaper. Okay, maybe a 2-year-old. And as I walked outside, she was going nuts on this mom. I mean, all over the floor. She was trying to pick her up. They do the dead weight move. Have you seen the kids do the dead weight where they just go limp?
Yeah.
Go limp. You got a dead body that you're trying to drag around. Yeah, embarrassing the heck out of them at Costco. So they go outside, and the son looked like a teenager, had the older kid, like a 5-year-old, who was doing the same thing outside when I walked out. And he grabs the kid and throws this kid on a concrete bench, slams her down, and she grabs her butt and her back. And I went over there and I said, "Hey, buddy, hold on, stop." I said, "Okay, I know she's aggravating you." He said, "Yes, she is." I said, "Calm down, take a deep breath, but you can hurt her. You have to be very careful. She's very tender. She's just a little kid. She's got brittle bones, and you can break something or cause something to be for the rest of her life. So calm down." He took a deep breath and he was okay, but he was totally aggravated with his little sister. And he was given the task of taking on the older sibling. Tough things. And you know what? It's all about the parents.
Kim, what we're talking about and laughing about is absolutely nothing to laugh about.
No, I know.
Yeah. Because what we are seeing out in the real world could become a parent's worst nightmare if they do not nip it in the bud, if you will. And this picture that I keep showing over and over and over, this is where a parent is headed if they don't train up a child in the way they should go. I'm telling you, I've seen so many families like this picture who have given up. They can't deal with this anymore. They come to us with a broken heart by the one they love with all their heart.
Yep.
And that's exactly why we went to Loving Solutions, trying to get to the young parent before this out of control behavior overtakes her home. You don't want to go home like this. This is sadly.
I had to struggle not to go over and tell her, there's a way out of this, because she wasn't. I know she wasn't in the mood to hear anything I had to say.
Yeah.
So there was nothing I could do to help her under those conditions. She was just too embarrassed in dealing with the whole situation to listen to me. I'm just glad folks are, anybody who's watching this right now found it online somehow. And that, once they get to the point where they realize they've got to do something, they will. I hope they will.
And the
So,
sad thing is, Kim, by the time those kids that you saw at Costco gets to this kid's age,
yep.
it's so hard to change that behavior because it is ingrained in them to rebel, to fight for what they want. And what do they want? They want control of mom and dad's life, control of their home, and they're not going to give it up easily. So I'm praying and begging that this Loving Solutions curriculum will absolutely go nationwide to help a better country, a better classroom, and certainly a better home to go to at the end of the workday.
Yeah, what's even all of this is really sad. There's another piece to this too. There was some fella who was sitting, on the benches as you walk out, where they eat the hot dogs, and he literally yelled out to this woman, "You need to get your kid under control," and he yelled across the building at her, like you must have been 100 feet away from her, because this kid was screaming really loud, constantly, wouldn't quit, and it was just a terrible scene. It really was all around. And
the sad thing is, Kim, the parents don't know what to do and how to change that behavior. They don't know. If they did know, they would do it. And that's what Loving Solutions is all.
Let's get into chapter 2, but that's a question. Just because they know, is it something they do because they know, or is it just a matter of not knowing, or is it all? This is hard work, right?
Yeah,
it is. They don't want to. Some people don't want to do the work, and most parents want to be their child's friend, and they think if they create discipline and give them boundaries, the child will rebel. But it's just the opposite. When you start early, early and often, as I say, early and often, apply basic rules of discipline and structure in that child's life, then they will grow up and love you for it as because they know that you did it to keep them safe. And a lot of children we have talked to realize that they were being obnoxious and rude as children. They recognize this, but that still didn't stop them from wanting to have their way. They want to have their way. And we've seen, and I'm sure Glenn has seen it, many adult children now have gone back to their parents and apologized to them for what kind of behavior they exhibited when they were in their teen years, because now they are adults themselves, and they recognize that what they did wrong. And so it's good to be able to get to that point. But as a parent raising smaller children, if they don't take the initiative and put the effort in now, like Glenn said, I think the Loving Solutions curriculum is going to be a key guide on and helping those parents become better parents, because it's written by parents for parents, and that is it doesn't get any better than that, because none of us know it all. But we, as a collective group of parents, can get together and put our brains together and put in the effort to raise the better generation, and that's coming up right now. So I think it's imperative that we get this curriculum out, and parents would buy it to use every day of their lives.
Also, we've been encouraging parents to buy this book and follow us. And I just noticed I missed this slide. We're on Unit 7 tonight.
Yep.
Yes.
And I want you guys to follow this, because we're only skimming through these chapters. There is so much meat into everything we're talking about on how to implement it at your home. So I just wanted to bring that point up.
Yeah, no, that's great. As a matter of fact, what Denver said is a good segue into chapter 7, because the journey to self-reliance. I'm going to read the first couple of lines here. It says, when we talk about raising children, one of the most crucial goals we have as parents or caregivers is to see them grow up for to become independent and self-confident individuals. The journey to self-reliance is an essential path every child must embark on. This journey is not quick. It is filled with steps, both big and small, that lead to a child's ability to stand on their own feet, think for themselves, to make decisions, and to trust in their capabilities. Denver, you want to expand on that just a little bit?
Absolutely. Often we want to do everything for our children. And that's the worst thing you can do. Absolute worst thing you can do is do everything for your children. When they're in the cradle, you have to take care of certain needs, but as that child begins to grow, you got to start tasking them, giving them tasks, things that they can do on their level to help them build, to think about how to become more successful at that point. Success begins in the early, 1, 2, 3. That's how it begins. Help the child do little tasks, age appropriate tasks. And the worst thing I have seen is a parent folding their children's clothes when they're 13 and 14 years old. That is the worst. You rob that child of the ability to accomplish anything. You might want to get it done quickly. Parents want to get it done quickly, but if you give that child the time and the space to do it and then monitor, at camp we teach them to inspect what they expect. That means to give the child a task and then hold them accountable for completing the task, and so that they'll feel better about themselves. And I believe that's what Glenn does even at camp when we're there. One of the greatest things he could have done for our young people that have come through our camp is the fact that he gives them challenges. He and it doesn't let them quit. We push them until completion, and when that happens, the amount of self-esteem, all these things develop in this child. Self-reliance develop into this child. Yeah, I know I can do this. Self-confidence is goes off the chart. And Glenn and I have sat back and laughed at the child when we see them succeeding, even at camp. And at camp is pretty tough. And they have done a great job. He's done a great job training the parents to help parents to see this worth. Over.
And absolutely, let me piggyback off of that. Our our goal is for kids to understand every decision they make, good or bad, will have a consequence. There's no way around it. And so as parents start teaching their kids the same, I call it the law of consequences. They
Yes.
start teaching this when they're early, young children. I'm telling you, this kid will know you're not counting to three. You say it, it's over. It's going to happen right now. And that's what we're trying to help kids understand, that the world is not going to count 1, 2, 3 on you. You're going to make bad choices. And next thing you're doing, you're standing in front of a judge and he's going to go by the book, not you're crying and whining and begging mama to help you. It's too late.
We're getting to the next page here. Excuse me, on 115, it talks about parental encouragement. One of the things I saw at a ball game recently was a kid who was visibly upset over striking out. Okay, and the mom yelled out, "It's okay, baby. It's okay. You did good. That was good. That was a good try." And I'm sitting there thinking, "Mom, just knock it off." Okay, encouragement shouldn't be just because they were there or they participated. Encouragement should be for effort. Do you agree with that?
Well, encouragement for effort is key, but then you have to follow up with a training process, because if a child's getting upset because they struck out, um, that means they have not developed any type of self awareness. You have to know what your abilities are. Children have to develop and understand their abilities on that level, and when they do, um, they have to learn to accept that they did not make the mark and that they need to work harder next time. If we don't do that, then they will never ever reach for anything higher. They'll always be mediocre because we allowed them and we sold to them that that was all you needed. They need to put in the effort. And so, Kim, I think it's important you applaud the effort, but don't applaud what they did bad, or didn't accomplish. Applaud the fact that they putting in effort, and that if you want to win, you've got to continue to put more effort in. When my children come home from the with bad report cards, or not bad report card, but they have a C, and they want me to give them great big praise and accolades for that. I said, good job for working hard, hard in school. But now, did you give your best effort? My question is, in this class, you have a C in this class. Did you give your best effort? And the first answer out of their mouth is, no, sir, I didn't. Okay, now you need to put more effort in. But
That's
see,
a good answer.
if you don't put the effort in, then you're not going to achieve anything. So we that's critical in the encouragement, because when they put the effort in and they succeed, they'll know that you did, as a parent, did not quit on them, but you yet held them accountable for the areas they're lacking in, and we push them and we encourage them they can do better.
And that starts with little kids. It starts with little things, putting toys away in a box,
Yes.
cleaning up after themselves after they play, not scattering everything all over the place, and then just leaving it for mom to pick up. I see that all the time. It's a little one who sits in a high chair and drops things on the floor and makes you pick it up, and they drop it again. You make you pick it up. I was with our 1-year-old grandson, and he dropped it 3 times. I said, "Uh-oh, I guess it's just going to have to stay there now." And he looked at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
It's going to stay there now. You don't get to have it back. And
Yeah.
and then I let it stay down there for a little while, and then I lifted it up and I looked at him and I said, "If you want it back, it's got to stay on your tray." And you know what? He didn't drop it again.
Yeah.
This is a
Kim,
15-month-old.
I like sports a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the greatest home run hitters of all,
Mm-hmm.
and his record held for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
was a guy named Babe Ruth.
Yep.
Well, they know how many home runs he hit, but somebody was tracking how many strikeouts he had. 1,330 strikeouts in his career.
Yeah.
Bottom
He
line,
led in that category too, I believe.
we're not going to win every game.
No,
And when these kids get a trophy for showing up,
not
sitting
good.
on the bench, we're not helping these kids at all.
No.
But that's the world today.
Yeah. That's socialism at its worst.
So age-appropriate responsibilities on page 116. When we're talking about responsibility, helping kids to understand that they have some responsibility, when does that begin? How young should you start giving them responsibilities? And no matter how simple these responsibilities are, how young should you start?
8 months to a year is when we started. Small tasks like picking up the toy, walking it over, and putting it in the basket. And like in the previous paragraph, it's a slow moving process.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for the parent to go and get it done, but when you allow that child the space, this is what I was talking about. Allow that child the space to do it in a timely manner, or to do that little small task. It keeps getting, as they get older, the task becomes bigger and bigger. Eventually, the child's now cleaning their room, washing their clothes, ironing their clothes, all this stuff. But it starts at 8 months. When they start walking, have them start putting toys away. Have them start doing little menial things that they can do. My 15-month-old Josiah, he's now 17. I still remember him on the back of the porch carrying a hammer, trying to put a nail in the deck, and I let him do it to let him and he did it at 15 months. He hammered a nail. It took him a while to do it, but that's kind of thing you got to let them do things and let them do it to completion, so they'll have the confidence that they can do it the next time around. And as you know, Glenn, he's a hard worker even to this day.
And also, when we start dealing with these tasks for young children, keep that task doable. We had a kid years ago who was told to go clean up her room. All she could see was a total mess. She didn't even know where to start and how to begin this process of cleaning it up. Right. So we told the mother to take a hula hoop and lay it on the floor and tell your child to pick up everything in the hoop. When that's done, you tell the child you did a great job. You reward them with praise. We call it positive strokes. And then
Yep.
you move the hula hoop. And guess what? Within an hour, that room was totally clean, and that little girl knew that she could do it. Keep
Yeah.
it simple, but keep it doable for a child, and then just keep enlarging as they go along.
That's excellent, brother.
When I married my new wife Carol back 38 years ago, she had to train me because I would leave a Coke can in my chair or on a table empty, and she didn't like that. Okay, so she went now 2 Coke cans. Oh, that would be like totally bad. I mean, I'd have paid for that big time. But I had to learn to, when I got up out of that chair, I had to learn to pick up that can and walk out. That's what we got to teach kids to do. You know,
Yeah.
Well, that's teaching them. That's also teaching them to be considerate. And often we don't think how your behavior is affecting someone else.
Mhm.
Even to this day, I mean, I wash my own dish.
Mhm.
My wife will fix me a plate of food, and I go wash my own dish. I
Yep.
go wash my own cup. I do that even now.
Yep.
And after 31 years of marriage, I still do it because it's important to me. Not that she won't do it; she'll be glad to do it. But
Right.
I have respect for her enough to at least do mine to help out and do that. She don't have to do everything,
Right.
and that's showing consideration. And that's what we want to teach our children: to be considerate.
Well, don't the kids get value? The little kids get value out of seeing you get upset when they do something wrong and they make you upset. Isn't that a victory for them?
Yes,
If you stay
you
calm, in other words, if you're staying calm and they're not getting any value out of being bad, then that's not a victory for them.
Well, that's why we teach no more arguing in our curriculum, and in our camp we teach no arguing. Because when a child sees you upset with them, and they know they've won, they know that now you're on the verge of quitting, and they're gonna get what they want.
Mhm.
But if they can't provoke you, and we say it all the time, parents should never take anything personal. And the only time you get provoked and upset is when you take what that child or anyone said personal. So
Yeah.
we got to back away from taking things personal,
Yeah.
and be hard to offend. And so yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They've won if they got you. If they get you upset, they've already won. They know it.
So as far as tasks are concerned, problem solving, encouraging problem solving. So they see a task or they're told to do something. Isn't there a lot of value in hoping or helping them to figure it out themselves, even at young ages?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things that I had with my children. If you start it, you will finish it. I don't care whether you don't like it. I don't care if you don't like the coach. It doesn't matter. You will finish what you start. And as soon as kids understand that, they'll think twice about volunteer or wanting to play soccer or playing musical instrument. The bottom line is we finish what we start. And when kids understand that, they are more selective in asking parents to do certain things.
Yeah, they ask you to buy a $1,000 trumpet, and then they don't learn to play it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't finish what they start. They like the idea of playing a trumpet, and then once the work starts, like they got to do it day in and day out and day in and day out, practice and practice and practice. That's where they fail, and that's where parents fail them. They don't make them. I say make them. They keep them going and help them to accomplish the goal that they started. If they don't complete goals, then I feel like failure becomes a habit.
It
Absolutely.
does. It becomes a habit. And I'm with Glenn. Never let your children quit. If they start something, they must finish it. Um, Even if you finish last,
Yep.
because when you don't finish, and you quitting becomes easier. Um, and I had to learn that in my life. That's why I've never quit anything I started. I may get upset with it. I may not like it, but I'm going to finish what I started, even if it kills me. I'm going to finish it. And that's the idea, because we're ingraining it in children so that they'll be able to grow up, and when life gets hard, and we know it does, and it will, they won't quit. And we teach our kids a poem called "Don't Quit," and when they read that poem, they realize life is erratic with twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learn. But the idea is not to quit when you're faced with difficulties, and that has to be ingrained in them as children. And the sooner that starts, the better off it'll be for them long term.
And you can expect when a child is being trained, and that's what parenting is all about, training up a child. They're going to come to you and say, "Daddy, I can't do this." Don't do it for them. You sit there and say, "You know what? Let's see if we can figure this out." And together, oh, by the way, it does take time, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Takes a lot of time to raise a child to grow up to be a young, productive adult, because that's the goal. We're not trying to raise kids. And so when this kid comes to you and wants you to fix it for him, no. Take the time to show them how to do it. And then they'll come back going, "Whoa, it wasn't that hard after all."
Right.
And they'll think twice the second time coming back to say, "Daddy, I can't figure it out." Because they know they're going to be challenged to figure it out some way, somehow.
They'll probably be shocked, if I get a kid out, 6, 7-year-old, and the bicycle chain has come off. It's important for them to turn the bike upside down, get the wrench, and do their best to undo that wrench. You give them a little bit of a hand if it's too tight and you can't get it done, but they need to figure it out. Get the nut off, get the chain back on, pull the tire back, do everything you can, and allow, because just because they start a task, when a task becomes harder, then that's when most kids will quit. When it becomes work and harder and challenges them, that's when they give up, and that's where the parents jump in, and that's the worst possible time to jump in.
They rescue them.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
You can't rescue them.
And they know you will, and that give up will start getting earlier and earlier and earlier in the task. It'll get all the way to the point where they look at it and say, "I can't do that."
Yep.
They won't even start the task because they know that you'll do it for them.
When I was teaching my boys how to train to change the oil and change tires, I did it a couple times and let them watch and help, and then the next time around, I sent them out there to do it. And I was, from a distance, I was watching to see how they jacked the car up. Did they brace the car to make sure the jack wasn't going to come underneath it? And I watched all that, and I let them do it. And now I let my older boys teach the younger boys how to do that kind of stuff, just because they need to know how to do stuff.
Well, and by the way, the more time we spend with these kids, I promise you are building a bridge that will not fall down when they really, really need you. It's part of the communication process of spending time with your kids, showing them, talking to them. Those are things they will not forget.
Yeah, that's right, brother.
Let me finish this by saying, here's the summary on page 127, 128. So these are the bullet points. Assign age-appropriate tasks. Help them with problem solving and practicing problem solving. Celebrate their wins. Use encouraging words. Give them space both to succeed and fail. Reflect on the day. At the end of each day, reflect on those days. We have time for a testimony here, Glenn, before we finish?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk. What it says here. Hi, Glenn. Wow, we were excited when we left camp this morning. S is back. I know we have a long way to grow in our new lives, but all of us feel renewed in our commitment to making our house a peaceful and happy home. Before departing, S asked if he could drive back to Winter Park. I probably replied, absolutely. I'm guessing this is not a 5-year-old, right?
No.
Older kid. He didn't even ask for his phone, and we talked for a while about the weekend. We thought he would be so angry with us for making him endure this weekend, but it was quite the opposite. He said he learned a great deal this weekend, and while it was difficult, he was glad we did it. He also added he did not want to return unless it was in a volunteer capacity. We had a wonderful ride home, and have already had our family meeting to make our daily, weekly chart. S decided he would prefer to call out timeout a chill out, and we must high five if those words are said by any one of us. I thought it was very mature for him to add that we high five to diffuse the anger, frustration, and add humor to the situation. We will let you know how that goes. He also added that we needed to go back to organized family meetings with a rotation of each family member, leading the meeting, taking the onus off of one person. What a blessing it was to spend time with so many amazing and dedicated family members who love their children. I'm grateful to these new friends. Thank you to the entire team and Gracie, the dog, who's gone on to be heaven now, right?
Yeah.
Amen. Yes.
All right. So that's chapter 7. Glenn, Denver, thank you. Change parents will see change kids. We'll look forward to talking to you again on chapter number 8. And folks, don't forget to get the book on Amazon, and that's Tackling Life's Challenges by Glenn Ellison. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.